Hey, what's up again, guys? Dyson here from We Are Black Cosplay alongside.
The cow stealing nephew.
And today's topic of this podcast is going to be all about blackface, which I'm sure by now you would have guessed with what's been going on once again in the community in light of a certain cosplayer's post over the last few days, and it's kind of blown up like things typically do in the con scene. So we're gonna let the cow stealer start us off.
Alright, so if any of you have the, you know, good chance of following me on Twitter, you read some of my tweets and my responses to this. So if you haven't, here it is. Hi. Just wanted to throw some random facts out there for the people in the back. My uncle steals cows. Momo-kun is still a piece of shit. And blackfacing in the cosplay community is legit the ultimate disrespect. Alright, all white people and others who think it's cool to darken their skin to make your cosplay accurate. Just an FYI, if you don't know yet, yeah, that's blackfacing, my peeps. You don't have to darken your skin to make a cosplay accurate, as long as you can get the costume right and the overall look without, keyword, without changing your skin. People will recognize the character you are cosplaying. Simple as that. You have a lot of POC cosplayers who accurately get the costume to perfection. Almost. You know, with 100, and nobody's 100%, but you get it. You've seen a lot of POC cosplayers do Batman, Wonder Woman, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Mary Jane, Spider-Man, and none of them whiten their skin for it. And since they don't do that, you do not need to darken your skin in order to get a cosplay accurate. That is ultimate disrespect to those who are POC, especially African American and in America and around the world, who understand what black facing is.
Alright, and then thank you for that. I'm going to begin. This is something I already typed up and it's going to be posted across our accounts. It says, let's have a discussion about black facing, brown facing, whatever you choose to call it in cosplay. Many people in the community are under the impression that POCs are overdramatic in terms of being offended by non-POC cosplayers using their resources to darken their skin for a cosplay. Some of you may sit there and say, but it's not meant to be offensive just for the sake of a costume. But here's the issue with that. The community that so many people love and grow up in is already a niche community that has a lot of racism in it, despite the motto cosplay is for everyone. Cosplay may be for everyone, but there's quite a bit of people in the community that don't feel the same way. 9 times out of 10, cosplayers are referred to as the black version of insert character here. A good example of that is Drunk Walker Production. She cosplays as Jack Sparrow. And oftentimes when we're at a convention, you hear people referring to him as Black Sparrow or the Black Captain Jack Sparrow. Which I don't understand why you can't just be Jack Sparrow. If you went online at this very moment and found a black cosplayer, there's no doubt you would find people calling the cosplayer, the hard R, or nigga this, and so on and so forth, which is absolutely unacceptable. Too often, non-POC cosplayers are praised for darkening their skin for quote-unquote accuracy purposes, which is still a laugh. And everyone loves it, but when it comes to a cosplayer that is actually that skin tone, it's seen as ugly and nasty, and it's often followed by a barrage of racist remarks online and memes. When we say blackface is racist, we aren't talking about the old 1900 meaning of the phrase with emphasis on big pink lips and messy hair, etc., like Othello, which is a good example. Each and every day, people of color are ostracized and killed simply because of their skin tone. And at the end of the day, we don't get the privilege to go home and wash off our color and go about our lives, as you cosplayers who choose the blackface get to do. If you don't know the history of it, then please go look it up before trying to argue about it. We'll also be doing a whole little segment on that, like actual video to educate people on what it is, since for whatever reason, a decent amount of people don't understand. A person of color mocked for the skin tone, while a person of color in the cosplay community is often mocked for the skin tone, while a cosplayer blackfaces and gets praised is the utmost form of disrespect and racism in the community. You're basically saying that you're okay with POCs as long as they aren't genetically a person of color, and that's the issue. So please don't blackface and understand that by doing so, even for a cosplay, it's disrespectful as hell. This is directed at actual skin tones and not non-natural skin tones, so like blue, red, pink, rainbow colored, so on and so forth, as a certain cosplayer's banner suggested that we were complaining about. If a group of people are telling you that what you're doing is offensive, and you're sitting there trying to tell them why it's not, then you're also part of the problem. You do not face the same issues POCs face, and you have no right to speak on that issue of said group of people. The time you take to type out a long explanation before posting a blackface cosplay on your Facebook account about how you're not doing it to offend people and that it's for creative purposes is an admission of guilt. You know what you're doing. You know there's going to be blowback. You know people are going to be offended. People are going to be upset. But you choose to do it anyway. And then when called out on it, you try to backpedal and claim that you had no idea that it was offensive or what blackface is, when in actuality you did. Our skin is not a costume. And to reiterate, those that blackface for accuracy purposes while shunning POC cosplayers are a major part of the problem. Those of you that say we're overly sensitive and we should be honored that someone imitates our skin for our cosplay, why not give that same energy towards praising the cosplayers of color that go out of their comfort zone and cosplay their favorite characters despite being in a world that sees them as less than human, and a community that is extremely toxic, like way more toxic than it should be. The cosplay and con scene should truly be all-inclusive. It's primarily made up of people who are made fun of and bullied for their interests and hobbies. Like, we're all just a big group of outcasts. You can cosplay as a character without darkening your skin. It's as simple as that. If you don't understand the issue after this, then I just have to say best of luck to you. If you still blackface, then go. If you still want to blackface, go right ahead, but don't cry about it when people tear you a new one for ignoring the cries of the people it affects. Like, no one's being over dramatic. No one's being overly sensitive. POCs already have to deal with crap on a daily basis. So if you're saying we're being overly sensitive, then clearly you don't care about anyone but yourself.
And it's not like we're, saying you can't cosplay these characters. We're saying you just can't darken your skin. If you want to play, cosplay as Black Panther, you can cosplay as Black Panther with just the costume. We're not saying you have to get, fake dreadlocks or, twisties and darken your skin. That is not what we're saying. Now, if you're sitting back and thinking to yourself, all right, this is a POC character. Do I really feel comfortable cosplaying this, without darkening my skin? If you don't. Now, if you feel comfortable enough for it where you don't have to darken your skin, go for it. You can probably get 100% accuracy without, keyword again, without darkening your skin. There is a lot of people who cosplay as POC characters that don't darken their skin. And guess what? A lot of people actually recognize it. And the fact that you're sitting there telling people how they're supposed to feel about something touchy as that, you're basically just proving to the world, F them, you're a pure asshole, it's about me, fuck your feelings.
Pretty much. And the amount of people on social media that want to argue back and forth, like, oh, you shouldn't be offended by this, you shouldn't be offended by that. There's been, at this point, probably 11 different cases of people are saying you shouldn't be offended, you should be happy that someone, somebody that likes your skin tone, they want to do this, they look beautiful, so on and so forth. It's like, you look at their accounts, especially Instagram, Facebook, right. People do this on their personal accounts. There's no shame in it. They have no shame. You go look, and they're bashing a black cosplayer. And it's like, okay, we have someone who darkened their skin for Korra. Then we have someone who actually is that skin tone. And it's always oh, this person is a black core, it's a nigga core, blah 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 blah, and then the other person's like, oh my god, you look so amazing, it's so beautiful, I wish I could do this, blah 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 blah. It's like, dude, stop. It's like, and then it's even worse too when, let's say, a PLC cosplays as a character whose skin tone is already, and matches their own. No one's ever like, wow, this is amazing, this is awesome, great choice, etc., etc. It's always, ugh, this would look better if you weren't black. This is how the character actually looks.
Right.
Like, and then not only that is like, please, for the love of God, if you have friends who are of the darker skin tone, any variation, non-white, do not continually recommend dark skin cosplay characters for them, recommendations, because that happens way too much. It's like, oh, who should I cosplay as when I could cosplay as anybody I want? But instead it's like, hey, why don't you cosplay as, Ed from Cowboy Bebop, or, you should cosplay as, who's that character from, what is it, Black Butler?
I know what you're talking about, but
yeah, or cosplay, what I mean?
You should cosplay as Oob, because he's like the only black
yeah.
character in Dragon Ball.
Like, wow, you're so dark. Cosplay as Mr. Popo, which, honestly, anybody cosplay as Mr. Popo. Mr. Popo's pitch black. That's the exception,
Right.
Like, but you know what I mean? Like, don't just go straight for a character you perceive as, black. Like, that's very offensive. And you can't really blame someone for being upset about that. You can't blame POCs for being upset when it comes to cosplay, which is supposed to be... conventions and cosplay as a whole is mostly people's escape from a harsh reality. They go there to have fun, enjoy themselves, and you're basically there saying, you're not allowed to because you're not the same color as me.
Or kind of think about it like this. People remember when Scarlett Johansson was going to star in the movie as a trans woman, and how people got outraged at that. Why can't people of color get that same appreciation? I get that they're kind of two different subjects, but it's almost the same outcry. Why does, somebody of POC have to specifically do POC characters? Why can't we do any character we want? It has to be specifically black. And why does, when somebody darkens their skin, there's people like, oh yeah, look at this cosplay, and they don't call them out for the BS that it is.
You can understand.
I know that's an extreme example, but that's the closest thing I can get. It's like, why is this person, acting as a transgender person, and she's not even transgender herself?
It's a good example. It just goes back to the same thing where it's just like, people can understand why animal abuse is bad. You shouldn't be, doing this, that, and next to your pets, but they can't grasp the concept that you shouldn't be abusing people of color or anything like that. And that just goes along with what I said, how they see POCs as less than human, which is ridiculous. Like, people want to say, oh no, it's not that bad, I don't see any of that happening, especially when it comes to like referring to their city. Oh, that never happens here. How would you know? You're not a POC. Of course you're not going to see something that doesn't happen to you. Like, it's, it doesn't happen to you, so how can you say you've never seen it?
And you have to understand, not everybody has the same experience as you. Other people go through different things. And especially for those of, who are white, you have the fortunate and unfortunate thing called white privilege. Especially in certain areas in the world, you can literally get away with murder and be out in a couple months, where versus somebody of POC who does a minor crime is in jail for, half to 75% of their life.
You know what a good example is?
What is?
Is the weed industry, where it's just like, oh, I got caught with, say, a POC gets caught with a gram of weed, they're, in jail for 5 to 10 years. Meanwhile, Sarah over here is doing weed yoga and has a studio open in a state that weed isn't even legalized, and they don't bat an eye. It's like, wow, good on you, awesome. I'm gonna try this. Like that, just it's a prime example because it's actually something that's going on.
Or that, especially here in America, we have unfortunately lots of mass shootings, and
Yeah.
these are typically done by Caucasian males. Whereas if African American person would get pulled over by the police, 9 times out of 10, we don't know if we're gonna make it out alive to see another day. That is how unfortunate it is over here. We don't have to have weed in the car. We can have a valid license. It could be our car in our name, no expired licenses with insurance and everything.
A well-paying job.
Exactly. We don't know if we're going to make it out of this stop alive, and that's how scary it is to be somebody of color in America. I can only imagine what it is in other countries where majority of them aren't POC.
Which is what is that? What was it? There's a couple states where there's actually a law they put into place where it is perfectly fine for POCs to run from cops if they're scared or whatever. Like not that the cops like you right there freeze or whatever. You know what I mean? Like if the cops show up and they book it, then that's perfectly fine because I mean that right there just shows there's something wrong.
Right.
Like most people will be like, oh my god, look, it's the cops, cool. While POCs are hesitant around them because I could be wearing like the most expensive, finest suit, driving a car that I earn because I work my ass off to get here, and be like, where'd you get the car?
Right.
Where'd you get the money? And then not only that, but the whole argument is, oh, not all cops are bad. It's the same thing goes for us. Not all POCs, not all black people are out here, in gangs, selling drugs, all this other crap.
We're not all trying to be, broke SoundCloud expired rappers,
Like we give you, you want us to give you that same courtesy, but you don't give it to us.
Exactly, and it's beyond ridiculous. It's like it's a lot of us use anime and cons and cosplaying to escape that harsh reality, especially when consistently that's all in the world in the news. You literally can go on the internet and within 5 seconds find something you really want to forget, and then people have the nerve to comment. It's like, oh, you're a dark and such character. Oh, you're the N-word character. It's like, I don't want to hear this. You shouldn't
be offended by this. How are you going to tell me what I shouldn't be offended by? Like, you don't have to go through this. There's basically nothing going on that offends you. There's nothing that directly affects you whatsoever. The system is geared towards helping you.
Exactly. It's making it harder for us to enjoy what we love when comments like that are thrown at us. Yes, we can ignore this. Yes, we can, move past it. But when it's on a consistent basis and you kind of like don't address it, people go buck wild on the internet.
I hate we have plenty of people on the page too, messaging the page, typically white guys who are like, you're adding to the racial divide. It's like, no, we're not adding to the racial divide. It's like we're trying to, close that gap. The fact that a page like this is even needed is sad. It shows that there's a huge issue in the cosplay community. Like, we're sitting here, it's like, granted, like, we feature everyone of all ethnic backgrounds. Like, we don't discriminate or anything. But, like, the fact that we're primarily geared towards sharing POC's cosplays and promoting them and stuff shows that, even in an already, niche community, we aren't accepted.
And then there's a lot of smaller cosplayers who don't get recognized simply because of their skin color versus somebody of white who are white, in the fact that we have to keep promoting, like, hey, don't forget about this cosplayer, look at their cosplay, they're awesome at it. The fact that we have to continuously promote people about that, it's saddening. Granted, we love doing it. It's saddening because they should already be recognized, not because of their skin color, but how much work they put into it.
Which, if you want to get technical, most of the characters that you're cosplaying as are Japanese, so yeah.
Or just aliens, and their skin colors are just particularly white. I mean, Goku technically isn't friggin' from Japan; he's from planet Vegeta, which is non-existent. And Superman is from Krypton, people. That's not real.
In one's heart, it can be.
Oh gosh.
But you know what I mean? Like it's supposed to be all about just like fun and togetherness, but there's just so many people that want to make it about, race. It's like, oh, you look like shit because you're not the right color of the character and blah 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 blah. Like things that shouldn't even matter. Just like, look, cosplays for everyone. All right, can we just like stick to that ideal? Can we just like leave it at that and respect one another, and also actually take into consideration the opinions of POCs, because you don't know what they go through on a daily basis. No matter how much they tell you, you'll never truly understand that. So just stop. Just chill out, man.
At the end of the day, we would like you to stop darkening your skin. All it takes is a great and accurate costume. If you put hard enough work to it and put what you love into it, like literally passion into it, trust me, we will get it. We will understand the cosplay without you darkening your skin. If you're gonna take that easy route and darken your skin, please don't go crying to everybody, oh, they're being mean to me. When in reality, you're playing the victim when you're literally the murderer. You can't be Michael Myers and Jamie Lee Curtis at the same time. It's just not possible. Halloween reference, man. Just saying.
I know it was a Halloween reference, but still, it caught me off guard.
It's gonna catch a lot of people off guard. I'm just saying, you can't be the victim and a murderer. It doesn't work like that in life.
Yeah, man. You can't be Junie Cortez on the Island of Lost Dreams and then also in Spy Kids 3D Game Over, playing a game, virtual reality, your mind trapped in it. Alright. Anyway. Alright, thank y'all for listening again. Those of you that do, we'll be back again next Friday with our next topic, which will be armor versus cloth, which will pertain to cosplay contests specifically, where we have people who have full-on sewn costumes versus people who spent hundreds of hours and money working on full armored costumes. Should they truly be pit against each other in a contest, or should they have their own categories? That's what we'll be discussing. So once again, you have Dyson. You can follow me on Twitter at DAI_CYN, and
the Cow Stealing Nephew. You can follow me on Twitter at the Cow Stealer, and on Instagram at the_cow_stealing_nephew.
It's not underscore.
I know, you space it out and just there you go.
Alright. Thanks again, everybody, for listening. Fare thee well.